I want to talk a little bit about the melancholy of resistance and the way it seems to be, to me as a reader, an evolution in the syntax and the sentences, and the parentheticals become more frequent. The beautiful parentheticals that we have in there. There's you allow cliches to come in into the consciousness of the characters quite a bit, and so there's actually quite a bit of humor. In fact, for folks that have seen the adaptation of the Melancholy Resistance, Bela Tarr's adaptation, which I can't pronounce, Workmeister Harmonies, which is devoid of humor, and yet Melancholy Resistance has quite a bit of humor and quite a bit of a different feel from the movie as well. So can you talk a little bit about the Melancholy Resistance and how it came to be, and the relationship to Satantango and the period of time between those two novels?
We can switch. We cannot switch off something. It's the better way to learn. It's going to have some kind of okay, the humor. Yeah. If you have a big task to make to create a fictive literary word in an hour, this is a quite big ambition, and if you are young enough, you have this ambition, and I had this ambition too when I was 18 or 20 years old, and I wanted to write one book, and that was the Satantango, which is a new one now in the US for you. And I want to create really a word, and from this word you cannot write about a word without humor, because the humor is a part of the word, and almost every movement, almost every wish, desire, dialogues and monologues have a part, a side, which is very, very ridiculous, or humor, or the satire, the satiric side of the humor is absolutely important. And if you are in a very serious case, there is a very thick border between the ridiculous and the tragical, and it's the best to write about the whole side of the humor, and that's why we had, for example, many talk with Bela, because I loved very much Bela Tarr's movie before our meeting, but I asked always Bela, but don't you think that this kind of character, for example, in The Family Nest, or I don't know in English the title, his first fantastic fictive documentary film, don't you think that this is so ridiculous, this kind of scene or this kind of character? And Bela told me, yes, I think so, but why don't you make a little bit more to show that? And after that, in our first movie, Damnation, or in the second, the Satantango, we tried again to show this whole side of the human. Yeah. the heroes, the characters, for example, in the Satantango, let me say about the book, where when they waited for Irimias, because he needs Irimias, because they need Irimias, because they need alive. This is a scene where almost everybody absolute drunk, and if you read the book, this scene, and if you read about one character, this character is in the same time very ridiculous and very tragic. This is not two different line of the characters. There aren't characters who only ridiculous, and here there aren't characters who are only tragic characters. I feel always, if I think of me, for example, I saw my characters in the same time ridiculous and serious. You know, this is the reason that my character in my books are so often ridiculous, or the situation in which they are doing even something is so ridiculous, or in the same time tragic. And to laugh a little bit about the thing, it gives some freedom, and that was very important in the first part of my life until the Berlin Wall. The humor, the satiric sides of the life, to laugh, which is unbearable, for example, that was very, very important. Without humor, we couldn't live in the time of the communist Soviet empire. To laugh now, I miss a little bit now from this world.